Hello and welcome to the creaking, salt-soaked tables of the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. We're your hosts, Groven,
Conquest.
and today we'll be sharing a pint and talking all things Runeterra and beyond. We actually do have a bit of actual news today, guys. Get excited because
News.
Skarner's lore has changed. Yep. Completely different, flipped on its head, but why? We're going to answer the question right here in the Brazen Hydra pub. And then I actually want to talk to you a little bit after that about why the Riot MMO cannot be a WoW 2 and why a WoW 2 would not be a good idea. Or would it?
Ooh. Ooh, okay, yeah, we
Okay.
we did touch on that a little bit in the last episode. I'm definitely down to delve in deeper because I know we can talk about that for literally ever, and it's a very important topic for any MMO.
Yep, which is why I put it second on the list. And I didn't even add a topic after that because if we do, okay, we'll talk foods across from Terra and cooking, but I don't know if we're going to get there anyways.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's gonna be a heavy topic.
Okay, so first let's talk Skarner. Now, Skarner is a Brackern. And think of the Brackerns, they're just scorpions, bunch of scorpion people. Okay. Like
Yep.
the Anubarak in World of Warcraft from like
Yeah, that's
the
the vibe
spider
I got.
people, except they're scorpion people. Keep that in
Scorpion
mind.
people. Okay.
Yeah. So the old lore for Skarner was that he was a Brackern, and the Brackern would store their memories and like their life essence into these crystals. And whenever a Brackern would die, like the crystal would be left behind. And then a new Bracken would be born, and they'd go and find these crystals, and the crystals would almost merge with them, and they would become, like this. They'd have all the memories of their past generations and all like the fighting abilities. So they basically keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger because of these crystals as they would age.
That's
And
really
as new,
cool.
yeah. So they kind of they would be dying, but they'd kind of live forever too at the same time. And
Yeah.
and Skarner's obviously like he's a League of Legends champion, so he's a special snowflake, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's a champion, so he has to be a special snowflake.
Oh yeah, yeah. Me personally, I think NPCs can totally be special snowflakes. That's perfectly fine as long as they totally overpower us as players.
Exactly. He was definitely there. Like Skarner spent years looking for his crystal, and he ended up finding, the bestest crystal of them all, and it made him super powerful. And it took him a while, but
Ooh.
he binded with the crystal, and then not long after that, the Rune Wars happened. And the Bracken were like, well, humans are stupid. We're going to go hibernate until they all kill themselves, and then we'll just come back up. So we're going to give them some time to wipe themselves out. But
Wow, I really like that just waited out strategy of they're idiots.
yeah,
We'll win by doing absolutely nothing because they're gonna kill themselves.
that was the plan.
I mean,
Didn't
they're
go as
kind of right.
planned because
Almost.
we're like ants. We don't really stop. But Skarner was
Yeah,
one of
that's
the
the problem.
yeah, so he was one of the strongest, right? And
Mhm.
so they all kind of went to sleep and slumbered, and Skarner was one of the last ones to go to sleep, and he was like near the top, near the surface. Uh,
Mhm.
he eventually awakens to an explosion, and it turns out there's a band of robbers who found their cave, and they were cutting the life stones from the different Brackern. And keep in mind, so the Brackern were like they almost were in a stasis, right? They're kind of like in a coma. They couldn't just wake up whenever they wanted, but they were awake, so they felt the pain. And Skarner was
Oh
kind of
god.
waking up, and he was hearing the screams of the other Brackern as they were ripping off their life stones. Skarner eventually awakens and destroys these bands of robbers. And he, awakes. He try all the crystals are stolen. Some of them are completely dead. Some of the Brackern completely dead, and some of the ones that do awaken, when a Brackern doesn't have its stone, they pretty much die. And so the ones that had their stone
Oh.
stolen that did awaken died shortly after. Uh,
Oh my god.
yeah. And so he ends up hearing a crystal. He goes to this village, kills all of them, takes some of the crystals, and goes back home. That's kind of the end of that's where Skarner's lore pretty much stops. He's like trying to get the crystals back, and half of his people are dead because humans see shiny.
Wow, okay. That's I mean, pretty straightforward and to the point. Also very like wow, that was powerful for how short
Yeah,
it was.
it's pretty good lore. The
Yeah,
problem
I
was that it
agree.
had to do with hex tech, and I think that's why they kind of took it out of there. Is because like he got tied into hex tech, and that was like the hex tech crystals kind of thing. Eventually,
Oh. Oh. So
Yeah.
let's hear how they changed it then. You're saying they removed hex tech from the equation?
Yeah. So they didn't just remove Hextech from the equation; they completely nuked him and completely redid. Yeah, he's not even close to like the same guy anymore. So the new lore for
Really?
Scar, yeah, not even close. So the new they moved him. He's not even in Shurima anymore. The guy's in Ishtal. Okay.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What?
Uh, yeah,
Okay.
and so Skarner was basically he's a part of this group. I can get their exact name for you. He was a part of a group of different like Opalhin, which is like a Brackern clan, and they're all
Okay.
progeny of this broodmother Nishali, and he's one of those progeny, and they basically live under Ishtal. And the thing about Skarner is he has these feelings, like he can he. I'll just go through the kind of the lore high level really quick. So he was on top of the broodmother. All of his brethren left, but he ended up studying the broodmother because he's kind of a curious scorpion, and he
Hmm.
and he's studying her and he's figuring out stuff, and then eventually he starts learning how to like feel the vibrations of the land, because all of the Brackern kind of have this elemental sense. Not all of them use them, they're pretty strong as is, they're huge, but they also have
Yeah.
an elemental sense, and he's feeling vibrations in the land. And they starts feeling these newcomers, and this is actually the westward diaspora, which is where everyone kind of leaves Ionia, because Ionia is the first lands, right? And so everyone's leaving Ionia, going to different places. This is where Helia comes, the Blessed Isles. Though that's during that time.
Oh,
The
wow.
Buhuru people from Bilgewater, they settled during that time, and including people settling in Ishtal. Now, these people have no idea what's beneath them, that this whole clan of Brackern are under them, but Opal Han, his mother, does not trust the newcomers, but Skarner is like a really curious one of these, and he's like he wants to study them. And he's looking at the humans, and he's interested in them, but he also thinks they're crazy because they like born, toil, and die very quickly. And he's like, the Brackern, we live forever, but he's like, wow, they do a lot in this short existence, like these short lives. And then a mock slide's about to destroy the burgeoning society that's getting formed, and he jumps in. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna save these people." So he emerges from the surface, first time they ever see anything like him, and he protects them, destroys the rock slide using his like elemental magic that he has.
Wow,
And
very
eventually,
cool of him.
yeah, and he starts getting close to the Ishtali people. He starts liking them. He's like, "Yeah, we're cool." He starts hanging out with them more than even his own brethren. And so
Oh.
he helps them actually form, how the Ishtali have like the axiomata,
Oh, yeah?
which is like the different elemental disciplines. He
Mhm.
helped them establish that. He basically helped them establish the where like all the elemental power from the Runeterra kind of combines. He helped them establish a home, like a building on top of that. I forgot what it's called. Anyways, he helps them establish all of that with the axiomata and stuff. And even more important than that, he establishes the Yuntal. Now, the Yuntal are the ruling class in Shurima or in Ishtal. They're like the leaders, they control everything. And the thing about the Yuntal is you cannot be voted into the Yuntal unless it's unanimous. Every single person needs to agree. And he's the one who started the
Wow.
Yuntal, and he's the one who established who can be in it and who can't. And so basically, he's had a say in everything from Ishtal from the very beginning.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. They just
Now,
alright.
it keeps going. So he's the king right now. He helps them form the Yuntal. He helps them, discover elemental magic and all this stuff. Now, outside
Mhm.
of Ishtal, the Shuriman Empire is pretty much just like falling apart. It's not falling apart. The Shuriman Empire is looking to Ishtal for allies.
Mm.
That's what happens. So Shrima's looking to
Okay.
Ishtal for allies, and Skarner's pretty vocal that he thinks that they shouldn't ally with Shrima and they should just stay to themselves. But the Yuntal go and join the Shurima, and eventually Akathia rebels, and that's where the Void War starts in Akathia. And basically, the Ishtal helped Shurima. I don't want to go into like the Sun Disk and stuff, but Ishtali mages help
Yeah.
Shurima build the Sun Disk. That's where the alliance really forms. Akathia rebels, and they summon the Void in. Now, think about it this way: Skarner's telling them the whole time, don't involve anyone else, just isolate, stick to ourselves, because humans are great, but they can like we should be more careful, more cautious when venturing out. They venture out, and he's like, okay, I've been proven right, but at what cost? Like so many lives had to die. and then the Shuriman Empire collapses, and eventually Skarner just has like nothing for disgust left for the world outside of their jungle. He thinks like outside of Ishtal is pain and suffering. And
Wow,
then
I kind of don't blame him. I'm gonna
yeah,
be honest. If that's his only experience with the outside world is Shurima screwing up and Ikathia happening,
to
then
summon the
yeah.
void. Humans summon the void.
Yeah. Yeah, like, oh my absolute abomination. Did this guy even know about the Void before this? Oh, I guess he's been around for a really
No.
long time, huh? He was there for the Rune Wars.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's any void remnants in Ishtal, and they pretty much stayed in Ishtal. So I don't know if he knows anything about the void other than that was his first encounter with them.
Wow, okay. That's very interesting. So yeah, he's already like, yeah, outside world, they're summoning some really dark stuff. God knows what, but we're gonna stay away from it. And that's a
Yes.
totally fair claim to make.
Yep. And then he sees the Rune Wars too. And don't forget
Yeah,
that's
this
like
thing it's been
literally
around
people
forever.
nuking each other with runes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like his only other experience with the outside world. So yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm starting to feel for Skarner actually. I think he's right.
His so he
Stay in
convinces the
Ishtal, little
Yuntal
dude.
to do it, to isolate, to use their magic to isolate Ishtal. He's the reason
He's
Ishtal is isolated. He's the
he's
reason
the
that the
reason for
Yunt.
Ishtal period now. What the
Yes, he
what?
is Ishtal. He is the whole
He
thing
is
about
Ishtal.
Ishtal. Yeah.
W- was there never an explanation for this stuff before?
No.
Like the elements of Ishtal and the
No.
jungle?
We just know that the Ishtali
What?
people are shrouded in mystery and they don't like anyone outside.
That's insane. So
Yeah.
they changed Skarner to give us an entire lore reveal for Ishtal, the entire
Yes.
stinking history of this place.
Yes. But it
I
gets better.
am
Go
shocked.
ahead. Go ahead. It gets better, but go ahead. Say your point.
I mean, I was just gonna say I'm very shocked that we knew so little about Ishtal up until now. I thought we
Yeah.
knew more about this place. We really know nothing if this is all new.
I'll tell you this, he's a part of one clan. He's one clan. Look how massive this guy is. What kind of world is living inside of Runeterra? Is it like a hollow earth theory? Or is just a whole world under
Oh,
the inside of
jeez.
Runeterra? Because that's what it's looking like to me.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's the vibe I'm getting. Yeah, this dude's like the size of a mountain. It looks like.
Yeah, he's
He's just a
massive.
giant scorpion. Yeah, he's part of a whole there's a whole clan of him. You only see one of them.
Yeah.
What
And
the
he was
heck,
on his
dude?
mother's back. So how big is she?
He was on his mother's back at that age? At this size?
No, I don't know if it was at this size. I don't know if he's like grown a lot since then, but still, like for him to be on his mom's back,
Yeah,
how and
still.
she's still alive, she's probably even bigger than him.
Oh my god. Dude, what the heck? Yeah, this is absolutely a
It's a big
what's it
reveal.
called? Yeah, yeah. Very big reveal. And a
Okay.
total rewriting of this character.
It gets
Jeez.
better. It gets better. So
Dude, how
because of
big
the
okay.
Yuntal allying with Shurima, he's kind of like lost faith in them. Like I established you guys and I set you guys up and I'm helping you guys pick who should be a leader, and you failed by allowing yourselves to like get bundled in with Shurima and all this stuff on the outside. So
Mhm.
he kind of goes into a little bit of like not really hiding, but he's more listening. He constructed himself an underground chamber below Ishal Khan, designed to amplify the vibrational threads across the continent. And so he's hearing
Jeez.
everything across Runeterra. And he's hearing Ishtal above, and he's making sure, okay, Ishtal sounds good, it's all working, that's fine. And he continues to listen, but like he starts to kind of not come up as much. He's more just listening to the world. And then deep beneath the dark earth, his paranoia starts to fester. And he's like he becomes more secluded, and he ceases like leaving his chamber altogether, pretty much. And to Ishtali above, like Skarner kind of becomes a myth, his presence known only to the Yuntao, who travel down there sometimes to confer with him about Ishtal's future. So the Yuntao still know that he exists and they go down there to talk to him. But the people of Ishtal have no idea. They think it's just like, wow, this crazy like myth in the past. Who knows? And then now, as generational new elemental masters are joining the Yuntao, they're starting to discuss the possibility of rejoining the world. And Skarner hears these whispers and it's like spurring his paranoia even more. because he knows that opening that door will invite pain and suffering and death into Ishtal. And can only trust himself because he trusted the Yuntal before, and they allied with Shurima and unleashed the Void in Akathia. And so he's taking it upon himself that he has to protect the people. He can only depend on himself. And it says at the end of his biography that even if that means becoming the root of their destruction himself, even if he has to destroy most of them,
Wow.
he's going to protect Ishtal.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay. So what I'm hearing is Skarner is no longer Skarner. He is a
No,
completely different character now. They
completely.
essentially made a new character and then they
Yes.
just alt F4'd Skarner.
Yes. Exactly. It doesn't even look
And
close
just
to the
gave the
same.
name to someone else. Yeah, it doesn't even look the
Yeah.
same. The only
Yeah, I feel like
similarity is
before he
that he
was
is a scorpion and that he is
yeah,
named Skarner. That
he
is the
almost looks a little
only
bit more
similarity.
like he's not as like creaturey. I don't know. His face, I know he's still a creature, but his face looks more human to me now. Like more like someone that you can try to understand before it just look like an animal.
Yeah, that's a
Like I feel
very
like
good point. It looks now like he actually has some like honestly his shell looks just like a shell and more like armor. And that he
yeah,
actually has some like skin underneath. Like
yep.
it's really interesting design. I definitely think it's an upgrade in terms of design. He looks really cool.
Yeah, he
Like
does.
man, oh man, I think that's sick. But also, wow. What I want to know is what came first, the thought that we have to remove Skarner from existence, or the thought that we need to establish Ishtal and what exactly its history and its origins. Because
Definitely I think
I
with
feel like,
Arcane.
oh yeah,
I
oh
think
yeah,
with
with Hextech.
Arcane. Yeah, with Hextech and Arcane, and they want Arcane to be canon. Now the origin of Hextech doesn't make it. I think it could still technically have worked though. Like it could have still been Skarner people crystals that they're using for Hextech. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't want it to be like because Hextech is kind of going to be foundational for Piltover, so you don't want them to be killing scorpions to do it. But such a gray, I never minded.
Yeah, I completely agree. A part of me would have preferred that. I think Skarner is a way better character now than he was before. Even though like the character he was before was fine, he just wasn't very impactful. Now he's extremely impactful.
Yeah, man, they made him huge. Like this guy. Okay, they revealed so much in this that people are not talking about. They revealed a ridiculous amount, and they kind of okay. Here's my prediction, just based on what
Mhm.
we've heard so far. One, Ishtal is clearly in isolation right now. No one is exploring Ishtal. Ishtal will not be a part of the world at launch in the Riot MMO.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
I very
Ish
much agree with that. Even more so
it
than I already did.
yeah, it is secluded and it is going to be secluded at launch. They
Mhm.
released this lore. Everything lore now is the Riot MMO is in mind. And so when they're releasing
Oh,
Skarner and
absolutely.
saying this is all with the Riot MMO in mind. 100%. You agree with that?
Yep. Oh yeah, and I was gonna say just like every other like champion right now and every other character, every other zone, they end with a very clear problem, right?
Yes.
That Skarner is this extremely conflicted character who is willing to destroy his own people to keep these lands safe. And
Yep.
that's obviously a problem that will need to be handled at some point. Whether
Yep.
that's Skarner's, like worldview changing on just maybe people aren't so terrible. They're only terrible most of the time, or he's gonna try to destroy all of Ishtal and we have to stop him, right?
Yep.
Something's gonna happen later on with Skarner. This was not a like conclusive story, and nothing in Runeterra so far has been a conclusive story. And
Nope.
I think that's great. Very much with the MMO in mind.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Ishtal opening up to the world is going to be the start of the Ishtal expansion. And damn, I thought Ishtal was boring, but I am freaking excited for the Ishtal expansion. Okay, elemental drakes in Ishtal, a bunch of Brackern underground, Skarner sitting under there waiting to just explode to the surface because who the heck are these randoms in my domain? Who are these people in Ishtal? The fact that he's set up like the cardinal arcology and everything, and that he's just a myth except for the elite Yuntal who know of him, and the fact that he says at the end that he would be willing to destroy Ishtal to save Ishtal. Like if he has to take it down to just a small tribe again, he'll do it.
Mhm. Dude,
I mean, that's
I love it.
we're gonna fight this
I
guy.
think it's we're gonna fight him. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god. And also, one thing that I love in, like, any fictional setting, any fantasy setting, I love scale. I love giant beings. Alright? I
Oh,
freaking I love Aurelian's soul in that cinematic.
yeah.
Yeah, his big reveal trailer for League of Legends, think it's amazing. And
Yep.
Skarner is giving me that very same vibe, except instead of him living, above us, he's living below us, which is
Yeah.
somehow even more terrifying.
Yeah, somehow it's even scarier.
Yeah,
I'm
dude, and
more
it's like,
scared of him.
how do we fight that? And I mean, like, clearly, I think at some point he's gonna boil over, and we're gonna have to do something about it, and maybe an MMORPG, who knows? And just, man, oh man, I wanna see a raid where we are, like, on this guy's back fighting something, like, while riding him, and you're like, just crazy stuff like that. I want them to play with the scale of this character because there's so much
Yep.
potential for a big climactic battle with this guy in the MMO.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Just
No,
don't
yeah,
put him
I
on
like
like
new
the
Skarner.
seat of the Brackern and it's like somehow they shrink in size, you know? Don't do that.
Dear God,
Keep it
please don't.
yeah. Keep him at scale.
Yeah, like, I see how that scale could definitely be a challenge, right? For any, like, developer,
Oh
engineer,
yeah.
anyone working on the MMO, if they're bringing Skarner into the MMO as a big threat, that's gonna be a challenge for the team, and I hope that they take it on. I really hope that they do this art that we're seeing of Skarner, this new art. I hope they do that justice, man, because,
Man, it's so
oh,
good.
he's so cool, and seeing that in real time in an actual open world game, oh, man, dude, sign me up. I like new Skarner.
Let's talk about the image real quick. Okay? Let's talk
Yeah, this
about it
art, it's so
because
good.
okay, what are you actually seeing in this image? I want you to describe to me like what you're actually looking at. What you think you're looking at. Do you have it pulled up?
Alright.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me see if I can make it bigger. That's the question. Because right now I'm looking at it on on the League of Legends page where it's kinda cropped off a little bit.
Oh, here,
You
here.
know what I
I have
mean?
it downloaded.
Oh,
I'll send it to
perfect.
you. Yeah. But
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
tell
shoot
me
it
about what
over.
you see now there already.
Oh, already, I mean, I'm seeing Skarner clearly looks like, given, like, the angle of the camera and everything, it looks like he's the size of a freaking mountain, given the background where you can see oh, yeah, there we go, now I see the full image. Oh my god.
Look at those
Okay, yeah,
birds.
you know what? I That made him look even bigger now. Actually, he's freaking massive. So his claw is digging into an entire freaking forest. Trees are just flying everywhere
You
from
see
his
the
like
river?
smallest movement. Hmm?
The
Oh, is that a
river is
river?
literally
Dude, I thought that was a
that's a
path. That's a
river.
whole
No,
river.
that's a river, and it's literally the size of some
Man.
like armband that he's wearing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I just noticed that too, by the way, with the full image. He's wearing an armband. Okay.
Oh,
I
he's
like a
got
little bit of culture in there.
yep.
Very cool. Oh my god, dude. And then, yeah, you see the city of Ishtal behind him, and it looks puny. It
Yep.
looks like nothing compared to him. Oh my god, he's massive. He's easily like mountain size, if not way bigger, actually.
I think he's literally bursting out of the mountain right here. Like he's not facing Ishao Khan, which that's the city behind him. Like the main city of Ishtal is Ishao Khan. That's the
Oh
city
yeah.
behind him, and he's not facing it. He's facing like he's bursting out of this mountain and facing away from it. And then all this rubble is like clearly getting brushed off of him. If you look up like where his
Yeah, I was wondering what that's about.
that
Yeah, the
looks like he's
white.
yeah, I think it's like dirt and debris from this colossal thing just coming out of the ground. And I
Dude,
think
honestly, I
he's
was wondering if
at
that was clouds, straight up.
yeah. No, I don't
But
think
yeah, it
that's
could just be
clouds.
debris.
I think that's debris. I think that's dirt and dust.
Man, oh man.
And I think this is what's gonna greet you. Like we're gonna be walking into Ishtel all excited, and he's just gonna pop out and be like, what are you guys doing
Yeah,
here? You know, I heard this the
hey
thrumming of you
guys.
guys coming a mile away.
Yeah, and the thing is, I love how you bring that up. Really, like, brings out the point that, yeah, he does not want Ishtal's borders opening up, and obviously, if we're going to go to Ishtal, we're not going to be starting out in Ishtal. We're not all going to be Ishtalians, so they're probably going to open the borders to us at some point, or we're going to make our way through the jungle somehow.
Mhm.
which would naturally anger Skarner. And my dad lines up way too perfectly. That
Yep.
it'll create just us going to Ishtal will create a problem in Skarner. Oh,
What do you
dude,
think of
that's
the new
so
Ishtal?
perfect.
100% he's going to be a problem for us. We're going to have to face him when we go to Ishtal. We're going to deal with him. Whether he ends up on our side in the end or not is going to be important. But then
Oh
what do you
yeah.
think about like Ishtal now after it's changed? Like he's a significant
Oh,
change in Ishtal.
very significant. I think that even just the council alone consulting a giant, like monstrous beast under the city, that alone, regardless of Skarner's whole thing, that alone makes Ishtal way cooler to me.
Yeah.
There's
And
this secret legendary creature living under the city that nobody knows about except for this high council. That's so cool. Oh, I love that. No,
I'll
yeah,
say what he
Ishtal's way
feels
more
like.
interesting now.
He feels like that person, that player that you hate when he's not on your team, but you love when he's on your team. Like you as an Ishtali
Yeah.
I would love Skarner. Like, wow, like
Oh
someone can
yeah.
mess with us and a giant scorpion's gonna burst out of the ground. That's awesome. Like, let the void even try. And even he has voice lines. Belveth is literally like the consummation of an entire devoured city into the void. She is like a bunch of people combined as like void screaming, dying, and they all combined to make her. He
Oh my
literally
god.
tells her, he's like, "You will not be able, I will not allow you to consume my people, Belveth. Starve." Because that's the only way to defeat the
Whoa.
void is to starve it.
Is to starve them out.
Yeah. So
Oh
he
my god,
knows,
that's
like,
so cool.
yeah, isn't it? Like if you're Ishtali,
What a
you're like,
line.
damn, I got my
Dude,
boy
that's raw.
underground.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, God damn, dude. Yeah. As an Australian, right? It's so conflicting because it's like, yeah, like who knows if he really wants what's best for Ishtal or if he's just really stuck in his ways. You know, it's
Yeah.
really a little bit of both to a point where he cares more about his own philosophies about the world more than Ishtal itself, and that alone is concerning as an Ishtalian. But at the same time, dude loves Ishtal.
Yep.
And you're an Italian, so like for the
He's
most
technically on your
part,
side.
he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so scary, dude. I love it.
I'll
No,
say
and
this,
honestly, the more we're talking about it, the more I'm like Skarner's the
right?
man. Skarner's
He's freaking
great.
bro. I'm telling you,
Very,
I'm
very
excited.
creatively right.
I thought Ishtal was my lowest zone. I ranked it as my lowest,
Really.
my bottom tier. I didn't care about Ishtal. It was like whatever. I mean, what can you put any zone above Ishtal? Old Ishtal before without Skarner, take out Skarner. What zone would you
Yeah,
put below Ishtal?
man. I think the only thing I could think of would be Shadima, but Shadima has way more going on in terms of its history
Yeah, the
before with
Ascent.
oldish stuff. Because like,
Yep,
yeah,
I would.
Shadima has to
Yeah,
sink in stun disc. That's already enough.
that just got raised by Azir, and Zirath is running around.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even like, dude, I love Azir. Azir's a very cool character, and he clearly
Yep.
is like one of the most attention given characters in Runeterra.
Yep.
So yeah, dude, that's already enough reason to put it above Ishtal. And yeah, at that point, you're right. Ishtal would go at the bottom for me,
Yeah, I
because
would
even
say that
Shadima, I
Shurima
don't
is the
rank
only
that
one that would
high.
come close. Shurima needs a little something else, for sure,
Yeah,
because I
Shadima just
like the
doesn't.
political drama, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just think Shadima needs more like more recency. It needs more like current champions doing stuff in Shurima. And I feel like there's
Yeah,
not anything crazy going on in terms of that right now. But like,
and
like I said,
something
it still has
specific to
Azir and it has the
Shurima,
Sun Disc.
like the
Hmm?
Sun Disc, even that stems from Targon and Aurelion Soul. So I feel like it's not Shurima. Like Shurima needs its own thing,
That's
you
a
know?
good point. That
Yeah,
yeah, especially when you look at other zones where they're pretty self-established, like especially when you're looking at like Demacia and Noxus, those two kingdoms, they're pretty self-established based on their own belief system. Where Shadima just kind of pulls from everywhere else.
yeah. It's got cool places. Like the land itself has a lot of cool places. Like I always thought the Valley of Song in Shurima was very interesting.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
like
sick.
Yeah, it's a remote pass that takes its name from the disoriented whistling that results when the wind blows through its hollow rock structures. And many
Ye-
travelers find themselves at like the mercy of marauders there because the marauders tend to prowl that area. It's a cool spot. And there's a lot of places like that in Shurima, but I feel like the lore stems from outside of Shurima. And that's why I'd put Shurima as one above Ishtal what it used to be. I mean, Shurima's last now. So
Yeah, what it used. Yeah, seriously, it's insane how much this did for Ishtal. It's one of those things where it's like when you first hear it, it's like okay, they added the origin story for Ishtal now. They like we got some new details. That's great. But then the more you think about it, the more like, oh my god, dude, they set up Ishtal. Like,
yeah. I
wow.
it went up to near the top. I mean, it's near the top for me now.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
I still think it needs like just I honestly like right now it's quality over quantity, right? I feel like there's still not a lot of quantity in Ishtal,
Yeah, there's not a
but
lot
there's
of lore. There's
quality
not a
there
lot.
now.
But yeah. Like
Yeah,
man,
I think it's the only thing holding it back now is that it just needs more. Because what's there now is so good. Oh man, dude, please bug civilization underneath the
yeah.
earth. Yes.
I want it to be huge. That should be an expansion in of itself. All by itself is that exploring that deep underground
Oh, dude. Yeah,
world.
that's part of the Ishtal saga, right?
Yes, the
That is one of the
sagas.
expansions within the Ishtal saga is the
Hmm.
bug people underground. I also think it's very interesting. It feels kind of like by the end of it, you forget that like, oh yeah, like Skarner, his relationship with this like, giant freaking scorpion civilization underground is really not in a good place. Like it's not in a bad place, but I imagine, they're not as, like, loving of Ishtal as Skarner is.
No,
So
they
I
didn't
think that's
trust
gonna
them.
be
That's important.
yeah.
His mother did not trust them. And we do not know their mindset right now. Like, if they attack Ishtal right now, the only one that could protect them is Skarner.
Yeah, and he's just one of them. Like,
Yeah.
a whole stinking clan of him. So that's really cool to think about, that Skarner is now not only focused on, his relationship with Ishtal and the rest of the world, but also his relationship with his clan, which can be explored very much. We got a Ratatouille situation. Skarner
Yeah.
is Remy, and his
Yeah.
clan is the rats.
100%.
And Ishtal is the five-star restaurant in France.
Oh man.
That's
Wait,
great. That's
Ratatouille.
an
Wasn't there a
awesome
movie?
setup.
What was that restaurant called? Was it called
Gusto's.
Ratatouille? Gusto's. Yeah. That's a great one.
Dude, that's literally what's happening right now, and I'm so for it. I think that's fantastic. Dude, yeah, we
Okay,
got
so
we got problems on multiple fronts in this channel now. I love it.
yeah, I'm excited. I want to see more Ishtal. I like the dragons in Ishtal. I like the magic, the elemental magic in Ishtal, the Axiomata, all of this with Skarner now. It's freaking amazing. So, but we're talking about this in perspective of the Riot MMO. That's why we say like, okay, everything they do is with intention. Now, transitioning from that to the Riot MMO, I want to say this, like, I wanted to talk about why the Riot MMO cannot be a WoW 2 and why it can. So I want to say this, like, from the start, is that World of Warcraft has a problem right now where it can either cater to its dwindling fan base of like players that are diehards, been playing forever. But the problem with that is like those people have grown up and they're older now. They don't have the same amount of time. And so to compensate for that, World of Warcraft kind of has over time made the game easier and made it more accessible. And that doesn't satisfy the new players that come in. Like no none of the there's no kids playing World of Warcraft unless their dad plays. And that's why I'm saying like Riot MMO cannot be a WoW 2 in my opinion. Now I understand you can take some stuff that's good and some stuff that's bad, but I think majority of what World of Warcraft is, I feel like I'm gonna be a little bit of a Debbie Downer right now, but like majority of what World of Warcraft is has now it's almost become very much like they can either hold on to their player base that they have right now. And honestly, no one's really talking about MMOs. I mean, even us, like we're a RiotMMO podcast. I can guarantee you, like majority of the gamer community is not invested or talking or considering MMOs right now. It's just not. I
Oh
know you
yeah.
have like what's that other one? Uh
Well,
the
Final Fantasy 14.
there's Final Fantasy 14, which is not obviously that doesn't get a lot of attention either. But then there's that one that's in development that people talk about a lot.
Oh, Ashes of Creation.
Ashes of Creation. Like people aren't talking about MMOs. It's just not like it's
Yeah.
not a popular genre right now. And World of
Yeah, no, it's
Warcraft
definitely not.
has yeah, and they like I feel like that's why a WoW 2 would not be successful. It needs to be
Yeah.
something different. It needs to be an evolution in the MMO genre. Like that World of Warcraft formula has been run into the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I think the funny thing about people nowadays is that it's a very very confused relationship with MMOs. I think most people love the idea of MMOs, right? Like
Yeah,
I think if you bring up MMOs to people, they either have experience with MMOs and are just like, ugh, oh my god, grinding nonsense, the gear score, all that stuff, and like toxic player base. But if
yeah,
you talk to someone who has not played many MMOs, has almost no experience with them, they love the idea. like I feel like the less experience people have with the MMOs we know now, the more people love MMOs, which is why this is Riot's chance to really break the mold and bring
mm,
that experience that people imagine in their heads when they're not thinking about the MMOs we have now.
yeah.
It's they're in a very very tricky situation for sure. For the genre as a whole, Riot's put in a weird spot.
Yeah,
They can't just do what works. Even though they should do some of what works in my opinion, right? We've talked about the Holy Trinity to death because it's amazing. I think it's a
yeah,
great way to bring people together in an MMO in a gameplay sense. It's so perfect. But then yeah, at the same time, making WoW 2 will not make the game successful in my eyes. I think Final Fantasy 14 did a very good job of uh bringing what works from World of Warcraft. They brought a lot of from World of Warcraft in terms of what
they
works
did.
from like professions to like class design. Like they have their class rotations, their cooldowns. They have a freaking global cooldown system. They have a lot going on from World of Warcraft. But what they did was they put a very large twist on the content aspect. World of Warcraft is very endgame heavy. The most endgame heavy game you'll find as far as MMOs go. Final Fantasy 14 did the total opposite. It's all about the leveling and the questing and the story. That worked out really well for a more casual mainstream player base who just wants to play a single player game where other people are there, and they filled in that niche. They filled in that mainstream audience that wants that experience. And now I think it's Riot's turn to, take what works and now put a new twist that'll redefine the MMO genre in their own way. I think you take it even further than what Final Fantasy 14 did and
Yeah,
really bring something out that'll get people's attention.
I think they
It's
have
going to
to.
be hard for sure. But yeah, but they have to. That's exactly what I was going to say. It they absolutely have to. I'm really surprised, to be honest. All in all, I'm surprised that Riot is investing in an MMO, genuinely,
Yeah,
because they have a lot of live service games, right? Like I feel like Riot's known for it. I don't think it's pretty rare that they ever release anything that's not a live service. Like Riot Forge games are your one-off titles, but even the fighting game that's coming out, no way in Sam heck are they not gonna add DLC characters as the game goes on. And who knows how else they're gonna monetize it. I'm assuming it's just gonna be DLC characters, but that's still live service game. So,
yeah, they all are.
but
Team Fight Tactics, Legends of Runeterra, League of Legends, now 2XKO, all live service games.
yeah, exactly. So but for them to go for like the biggest, riskiest live service game there is that currently does not have that big of a following is insane to me. But I'm so glad they're doing it because I genuinely think that if they redefine the genre, there's a big audience out there, actually.
Yeah,
They're just hidden. They just like the idea of MMOs and they're sitting waiting for the MMO that calls to them. And that could be Riot's MMO. And it can't be WoW 2 for that reason.
yeah. I think WoW has their fan base, and if you try to capture WoW's fan base, you won't be successful because they're already playing WoW. They've already got that what they like doing, and they're in a different place in their lives now at this point. Like they're just not the same. if you want to capture the WoW player base in 2004, they're there, they're young, they're like in freaking who knows what age. That's makes sense, but like try to capture them now, it doesn't make sense. Like you need to capture the new players. You need to capture like the Zoomers. I don't know. That's what you need to capture.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They need to capture this thinking like people out there playing Fortnite right now.
Yeah,
I feel like they need a title that will capture people right from the start, right? Like any other MMO right now, it's slow starting. I don't think there's any MMO out there that just throws you right into it, but I think Riot will have to lean into that, especially because they are known for competitive titles.
yeah.
Like, heck, they're known for League of Legends and Valorant are their 2 biggest titles right now,
And those are
and
huge. Those are like
yeah, they're
literally two of the
huge,
biggest games out today are League of Legends and Valorant.
period.
Like
Yeah,
I think it's
and
League
they
of
are,
Legends,
like
Valorant,
th
Fortnite, and Counter-Strike.
yeah, seriously, and they are, like those 2 games alone are the epitome of competitive gaming,
Oh, and
right?
Minecraft. Don't forget Minecraft. Minecraft will always be there.
Oh, that's true. No,
Yeah,
honestly, I don't understand how that game is, like, an absolute enigma to me. Like, I played it back in 2010, and I just still hear about it to this day. It just always crops up.
it
Like,
doesn't make
that game's
sense.
different from anything else I've seen. But
M-
but I digress.
But our
Yeah,
nephew
yeah.
is playing Minecraft.
Oh, yeah, he is. Absolutely,
Yep.
and Roblox. They gotta capture the Roblox players.
Yeah. See, but those are the thing is like those are so different from an MMO. Like League of Legends, Fortnite, Valorant, Counter-Strike, Minecraft, I guess is like you could argue there's at least a
Minecraft,
little bit of similarity in that
yeah,
like you're
there's
this
that
player
open world
character in the
RPG
open world.
aspect, I guess.
Yeah, and you
I
can
wouldn't
play
really
with
say
other people.
RPG, but you get it. Yeah.
But like you need to capture the players today, and I do think an MMO could capture them, but it cannot be the formula that's there because that's already not capturing them.
Yeah, exactly. And the point I was going for was yeah, MMOs are not normally the kind of thing to just throw you right into the action, but Riot makes games that they do exactly that, right? Like any competitive title you see nowadays, whether it's Fortnite or League of Legends or Valorant, you jump right into a game just like anyone who's 200 hours in, right? You start up the game, you get into a match, and that's just about it. And I feel like they need to do something similar with the Riot MMO because that's just how people are nowadays. I don't
Yeah.
think I think the generation they need to capture is not a generation that wants a slow immersive experience like any MMO we've seen up until now.
Mhm.
And Riot is very good at that. Riot's very good at capturing that audience. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to go about an MMO known for being so slow. I feel like that they're going to be the ones who are going to pick up the pace and will get you excited from beginning to end, from level 1 to cap level or whatever that kind of progression they have in the game. I really believe that they're going to keep it high octane, high excitement. I
Yeah.
think they're capable given their
I think
history.
it's I don't think it even falls to uh like I think that one of the most important pieces to accomplishing that is going to be the combat. The combat
Oh
in
yeah.
World of Warcraft is very like slow and
It's slow.
okay,
Yeah.
you start the game. Let's say you make a mage. Okay, here's your frostbolt. Cast your frostbolt. You shoot your frostbolt. Boop,
Yeah, they can't
boop.
do that.
There it goes. It hits that guy, and now he took a little bit of damage. And now you charge up your frostbolt, and then you shoot your frostbolt. Like,
Yeah.
it needs to be like you can make even fighting a level 1 ghoul pretty exciting with a little bit of splash and like excitement in the game. Like that ghoul could be swiping and you're a hunter and you do a rollback. And while you're doing the rollback, you lay your trap and then you pull out your arrow and you shoot it and the ghoul gets hit in the shoulder and he starts slumbering forward and he gets trapped or something. And that could be made an exciting thing. Like I think MMOs are always going to be that world that you're a part of. It's never going to be like a Fortnite where
Yeah.
like your work does need to matter over time. Like it can't be where every time you log into MMO, nothing matters. Whatever you did, like if you just pick your character and you have like 50 different skins. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, they better not.
Yeah, but where they can make it exciting is I think in the combat and in the enemies. the enemies need to be like smart and like a little bit more aggressive in like their actions.
Yeah. No, yeah,
You know,
I
Skarner,
very much
yeah,
agree with that.
you get what I'm
I
saying. Like
think
Skarner can't be like a swipe, like a random swipe, and then like yeah, the tank faces him away and he does like a little bit of damage. That's a WoW too.
yeah, that's wild too.
Skarner needs to literally pick
Take
someone up and
Skarner to the
slam him into the
corner.
wall, and then his tail like slams down in the back with three spikes, and like it needs to be a lot more going on, and it needs to
Yeah,
be
it needs to be more. I mean, like, yeah, I imagine them working on a modern engine means the combat can be a lot more cinematic, right?
exactly
Like
right.
they can have Skarner grab pick up a a like one of the players in the raid group and just do whatever the heck, like like launch him up into the air and freaking swipe him with his tail. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Like I imagine a
Skarner swiping
modern
with
day
his
MMO we
tail.
have not
Heck
really seen
yeah.
yet, to be honest. Heck yeah. Just do whatever the heck. Make it look cool. And I feel like we have not seen a proper modern day MMO yet. I feel like Riot will be
No,
the first to actually
we
do it.
haven't. Everyone's going with
Yeah,
that
I
same
think the closest
formula.
thing is Final Fantasy 14, and even
Yeah,
then, it's just World of Warcraft with more particle effects, to be
I
honest,
think so too.
and better foliage. That's really it. But
Yeah,
I think Riot engineers and like developers they're gonna put in the extra effort to bring out that cinematic look in the combat. I can totally see them doing that.
and you could satisfy both. Like you have that cinematic combat look, right? I don't think the combat you can't go back to like just okay, this guy's casting his frostbolt, but you can satisfy the player that wants to grind out and do stuff, and you could satisfy the player that wants to just hop in and do like a Fortnite kind of vibe. That's where the difference between arena and raiding comes in. Like, yeah, there
Oh
are
yeah,
players that just do arena in World of Warcraft, and if you ask them what raid is out, they don't even know. Like, they're just, yeah,
yeah.
I'm playing. I log on, I play arena, and I log out. That's what I want to do, and that's what I like doing. They get pissed when someone tells them that they have to go do something else. And I don't think you
Yeah,
should have
they
to.
actually
Like if
hate
someone
it.
wants to log in and just like, yeah, if they want to treat it like a Fortnite where they just log in and they grind out games and make their character stronger so they can kill people faster in a BG, that should be a possible
Oh, it should
progression
be
path.
totally viable. I believe in nobody more than Riot to do that. Right? Like
Yeah.
I'm fully expecting PvP and matchmaking to be in the
Yep.
MMO. 100%. Like that's what they're known for. That's what their loyal audience expects out of their titles. That's what people are going to go to the MMO for to some extent. For sure.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a
I think
very
we're gonna
good
see
point.
that. And that's how you satisfy those different audiences.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to be like freaking sparkling colors every time and you're taking like you can't I don't want to be in Shurima taking a portal and zipping over to Freljord killing this guy and then I'm teleporting back and then we're dropping out of the sky because I rode a dragon. That doesn't need to happen to satisfy that kind of player that wants that, you know, that plays
Yeah,
Fortnite and they jump
that's a
out of a
good point.
bus and hit like rocks with their axe and right when they die they jump out of another bus. You can satisfy them in another way, and I think that's where PvP comes in.
Yeah,
It's
that's a very good point. I mean, like me personally, I love myself a slow immersive experience, right? Like I can't
yeah,
get enough of just a slow, nice MMO because that's just kind of what I expect out of MMOs. But yeah, I do think that they do need some way to satisfy the audience that they have accrued through League of Legends and Valorant. Which I mean, like they're just not slow paced people. Which yeah, I think you're right. I think PvP is a very good way of going about that.
look at what World of Warcraft just did with the Plunder Storm. Like
Yeah,
tons of people
that's an
came
extremely
back
good
who,
point.
yeah, I mean, I think they could have gotten way more if they would have made it free to play, which
I
I
can't believe they
definitely think the
didn't.
Riot MMO
That
should
was
be free to
foolish.
play.
Mhm.
Uh, but like they satisfied a niche audience that wouldn't otherwise be satisfied with World of Warcraft. People resubscribe just to play that, but they have no interest in
Yeah.
actually playing World of Warcraft as it is now.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. I came back for Plunderstorm. I played a few games of Plunderstorm, and honestly, it was fun. Very good time. And then I even hopped on my character, my main in World of Warcraft, and then I like just kind of looked at stuff. I like did some LFR because I had very low gear score, very low item level. My gear
How
was
was that?
garbage. It was very boring. Very,
Yeah.
very boring. I jumped in as a tank, by the way, and I don't know anything about how to play warrior now because like I haven't played since like halfway through Shadowlands was when I dropped off, like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I literally went in there figuring out what talents I picked like 2 years ago and what my like rotation looks like. I don't think I didn't even figure it out by the end of the raid wing, but we still did it. And then I logged off. So that was my experience of World of Warcraft recently. But Plunderstorm, very fun. Good time. I enjoyed it. It was actually really cool.
Yeah. I honestly, I really was tempted. If it was free to play, I would have jumped in
Yeah, that was
100%.
very foolish of them. Can't believe they did that. If it was free to play, it would have brought in so many returning people, so many returning players, and so many new players for
But
sure. Just because that's where the audience is right now, dude. People want to jump into something like that and not have to like think about it.
here's what I will say though. You have to be careful with. So you do have to satisfy the Fortnite, the Valorant players. Like you can have this kind of plunderstorm type thing, but it does run the risk of feeling like mini games inside of a game.
That's fair. I mean, I always feel like that's the problem with instance content, right?
Yeah.
Is that it doesn't feel like you're playing an MMO anymore as soon as you enter an instance. An instance being like you're separate from the open world. So like you and your party of 5 will enter a dungeon. You guys will be in your own version of the dungeon. So nobody else can come in and start killing your bosses, you know? You're
Yeah.
you're you're in your own little space, you and your 5 members of your party.
See,
So
see,
that's
but
true for like PvP and PvE. And yeah,
here's what it
I always
is.
feel like it kind of breaks you off from everything else, from the actual MMO part of it.
Big brain right now. I got a big thing, okay?
Let's hear
Why
it.
does it feel instanced for LFR? Like so LFR, you're sitting in that city. You queue up for your raid, and then you go into the raid and you do the raid, right?
Hmm.
Now, why does that feel instance? But then if you go to like a heroic raid, it doesn't feel instance.
I think there's two big aspects to that, two big parts to that. One is that you talk to people. You talk to the people in your raid group, so they're actual people. That's a very important part of any MMO is that you have to talk. If you don't talk to anyone in MMO, you have zero like attachment to the MMO outside of the gameplay, which eventually will get stale because just like any other game. So that's a big part of it. One, you talk to people, so they're actual people in your raid group. Two, you actually have to go to the location of the raid in the open world. You you experience going to that zone where the boss is residing. You get that atmosphere in, you're going to his lair, and you enter that portal with the group of 20 other people. Feels awesome every time. I love it.
Yeah. I
Those
think
two
that's
things
the
to me.
big thing. I
Mhm.
think that like I think your second part was one of the biggest parts is that like you're kind of going there together in the
Yeah.
world. Like it's not just teleportation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge part of it. Instead of just going from like you're standing there in your capital city to, oh, you're in the raid now. You're in big, scary
Yeah.
dungeon place out of
And this
nowhere. It's super jarring and just feels wrong.
and then your first part was that like you're with people that you actually know, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
Even if
also
you don't
extremely
know them, even
important.
if you just enter a random pug group, you're immediately starting conversation because you have to talk, right? Who needs summons? Literally, that's enough. That's all I need to know. Oh, yeah, these are real people I just joined a group with. Like, who needs summons into the raid? You know? Oh, all right. Like, like we already killed this boss. We're starting on this guy. So everyone come over here. That kind of stuff. Like, little stuff like that, even if you never met these people, makes a huge difference in an MMO, at least for me. It's the reason why I play. Is because I'm playing with real people. My character matters because these are real people that are seeing my character and interacting with my character. So it makes me want to improve my character and play the game. Is That's just about it.
Yeah, I think I definitely don't think you can have it like we're arena. Like imagine every time you queue for arena, they're like, okay, your arena's in this place, so head over
Go
there.
to Nagrand and Outland. You're in the Nagrand arena.
Go meet them there, and the arena will start at this time.
No,
Make
yeah,
sure you're
that
all
can't
there.
happen.
That can't happen. But
That'd be
I do
horrible.
think that there's certain things about PvP that need to happen in the world. So it makes the PvP like be in classic they had that place that arena in the the jungle area at the bottom of not
Stranglethorn
Kalimdor.
Vale.
Yeah, they Stranglethorn Vale
Yeah,
Arena,
bottom of
something
Eastern
like that.
Kingdoms.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I
you
love that
can.
little arena.
Yeah, you
There's like
need
a
to bring
chest in the
PvP
middle.
into the
Yeah,
world
yeah.
too. But then you can have those instance events like, okay, yeah, arena is kind of its own thing and it's just on the side. And then you can have battlegrounds like the, yeah, it doesn't have to make sense because you're literally dying in there and that's not canon. Like the canon
Yeah.
event would be the raid and you finish it and you don't die. That would be like the canon.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know why, but there is always going to be that sense of like, uh, the world doesn't really matter as much in PvP unless you are doing world PvP.
yeah,
Right? Like, instance PvP is always going to feel different in terms of how much does the actual lore and like how much does Runeterra matter when you're fighting a 3v3 in arena in the Riot MMO? Not very much at all. So just get me in there, get me into a match. Just like any other like PvP related game. But PvE, dude, like you're going to fight Skarner, right? Like I mean you're probably going to lose cuz he's Skarner, but you're going to fight Skarner, the actual character in the world of Runeterra who has history, who has meaning as a personality. He's fully written up. You're going to interact with him. So I feel like yeah, you have to take that time to immerse the player into the world and let them go to Ishtal, you know? Let them go into those deep caves and let them like face Skarner that way instead of just teleporting you to him, right?
yeah.
There's
You
that
need to
divide
travel.
PvE and PvP. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, PvE and PvP are going to be two completely different experiences, especially in terms of the importance of immersion and world building.
The main thing I want to say is I feel like the Riot team is really in a good position to do something different. And we're
Yeah.
spending me and Conquest are spending like an hour a week talking about this. They're sitting down talking about it every single day for hours.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that they're going to come up with something that's really going to be like I would never even imagined that as a
Yeah,
possibility. Like
exactly.
I would never be
I
able to
think
come up
whatever
with
we're
that
saying now we're
solution.
going to be dead wrong, and I can't wait.
Yeah, except for Skarner being a raid boss.
Yeah. No, we're going to fight Skarner and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, some
We're going to
things are
leave.
just
I can't
you
wait.
know obvious.
Dude, absolutely. Skarner's going to be a huge part of Ishtal. Like, there's no way he's not. Both literally and figuratively, he will be a huge part of Ishtal. There's no way he's not.
Oh yeah, Skarner's gonna be huge, and I think Smolder's also gonna be huge. Like I already talked about Smolder's gonna really pull us into Camivore. Everything that they're setting up now in the lore. That's why I think we're gonna do this more and more, me and you. Like lore, it was important. Now everything that they do has the right MMO in mind, and so me and you are gonna look at it like how we looked at this lore today. We're gonna analyze it and say, what does this mean for the right MMO? Because it's obvious what Skarner did for the right MMO. It's pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
It
It's
added new
massive.
lore massively, and not just because
Yeah.
he's massive, but because of what he embodies is massive. Like, okay, he's freaking underground. We're dealing with a hollow Earth theory for one.
Yeah.
Two, there's a whole tribe of them. Skarner was the last one before. No, now there's a whole freaking tribe of Brackern that are massive underground under Ishtal. Ishtal has a ton of lore explaining why they are what they are and why they've isolated. And then it just adds in like, okay, this sets up Ishtal so well for an expansion, and Smolder set up Camivore so well for an expansion because we had nothing. Like in order to really
Yeah.
go to Camivore, we would have had we would have had to go to the Shadow Isles first. Now we can go to Camivore anytime with Smolder and his mother because that
Yeah.
ties it back. And I guarantee you, any lore changes that we have now, with Arcane being canon, like Arcane season 2, I'm super excited for because we're going to see, background for the Riot MMO. We're literally going to be seeing it in the Netflix series, which is awesome. And so everything just matters more now. Everything feels a little bit more important, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very cool to me how we are. I feel like now with Skarner, especially, that really like hit me with like, we are seeing the consolidation of the lore happening right now. They
Oh,
are setting things up for this Riot MMO.
I
In real time, we are
completely
watching it happen.
Yes, we are. And I completely forgot to give a shout out. We had a question last time, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, but we didn't touch on it a lot. And so it was, let me pull up comments.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Yeah. Kamakar change. I'm going to say Kamaka. Kamaka. Okay.
Come on,
Kamaka. I don't mind if the RiotMMO is a copy of WoW. I just don't want tabbed combat. That is the only thing that I don't like about WoW, and it's not even WoW's fault. Tabbed combat was a feature of the time it was in. In 2024, tabbed combat feels very dated. Feels dated. Uh, and I think that's a great topic. And we kind of touched on it that the combat is important.
yeah.
That yeah, you can't like
Oh,
tab
very
combat
important.
really doesn't make sense anymore. That we need to kind of evolve it, and it needs to be different, and it needs to be something where like you're a bit more excited. I don't know if like that's literally a turn off for him. He's saying he likes the idea of WoW, like what you were saying, when people like the idea of MMOs, but at the same
Yeah.
time, like something draws them off that they'd rather play like a something that's more action.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. At least like like not including like single player experiences. I like I mostly want to talk about uh the online multiplayer experiences, which was people leaning more towards Fortnite and Valorant and League of Legends, that kind of stuff. But yeah, tab targeting, dude. I've heard this complaint before, and it makes me sad because I personally love tab targeting.
I think it's good in some sense. Some in some places it's good,
Yeah,
and I think
I
in
think. Oh,
yeah.
you go ahead. What were
No,
you
no,
gonna
go
say?
ahead. I was gonna say I think it's good in some places and it's not great in others.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I was gonna say that like the reason why my two most played MMOs are World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 is because I just think they've done a very good job with making tab targeting feel actiony. Just in terms of how frequently you're pushing your buttons and how they combo together, which is why I'm always playing like a melee class, just because I like that fast paced action. But they combine it really well with tab targeting in a way where it doesn't feel like I'm just sitting there, pushing my buttons in a certain order, right? It feels like I'm actually in there fighting.
I'll say
But
this though,
I
it's
I
different for
see how
melee than it is
my
for
bias has
ranged.
led there.
Yeah, because melee, you got to think about it. How many times you're tabbing once, you're clicking on that target, and then really you're just like, okay, I'm kind of fighting, like I'm pressing Q to punch him in the face, and pressing E to like grab him and throw him, right? And you're kind of just pushing the buttons in a melee form. But I will say
Mhm.
it feels very different for a caster or like a hunter, like tab targeting. Like you want to be able to aim that shot, you know? You want to be able to
Yeah,
like
I imagine that's very different.
yeah, you want to be
That
able to
skill
like
shots
lead
would matter
someone like
way
yeah,
more.
exactly. And you need that. And I got it melee doesn't feel that way, but then you see characters like Reinhardt in Overwatch. So it's clearly possible to do it with melee characters to have them be able to do kind of actiony combat stuff as well. But I mean his action
Oh
combat is
yeah.
also a projectile, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it's absolutely a product of its time, right? Because doing calculations with dynamic hitboxes and hurt boxes is going to
W-
be way
We were
more
not ready for that.
demanding. Yeah, on like server communication, right? It's just like servers communicating between like your character swinging their sword and what it hits and what it doesn't hit in front of it, right? There's a lot more going on there that might cause some like lag on server side or on your computer, but or even like some like latency, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. We might be there now. It's hard to tell because MMOs are just not that explored usually. I think Lost Ark's a good example that's very possible though.
Yeah.
But Lost Ark is also a top-down game where they don't have to worry about a Z-axis. But I don't know if we'll have to worry about a Z-axis in Riot in the Riot MMO. But I also don't care for top-down MMOs in general. But Lost Ark's a good example that it's actually possible where you can have some skill shots, like nothing but skill shots actually, and still make it work out pretty well. And Guild Wars too, actually. So
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
think
actually,
though
never
he
mind. There are definitely MMOs out there that exist that are just skill shots, and they do a good job
yeah.
at it
There's a new
without any
character
like latency or
in
anything like
WoW.
that.
Direct there are a lot of skill shots.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're I think they're almost like all skill shots. I haven't played too much of them myself, but they're pretty prominent. Like League of Legends style where you have the marker on the ground and you'll like shoot out your ability that way. And I
Well,
like that. I think that's cool.
yeah. I would like to, I wonder how they're gonna do combat. Whether it's gonna be a combination. I don't know. All skill shots does seem like a little bit much to me, but at the same time, if it's done well, it's not gonna feel like you're constantly I don't know. Like I like the chillness of tap targeting, but I can see why action combat would definitely favor people who from the Fortnite world or from the Counter Strike world. And we
Yeah,
were talking about pulling in
that's a
those
very
people or
good
League of
point.
Legends. League of Legends all pretty much skill shots, except for your like auto.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's a very good point actually, is that it'll definitely appeal way more to the League of Legends players if they hop into the MMO and they have, their abilities similar to like markers on the ground where they're like shooting stuff outward and placing things down in terms of like their magic or
Yeah.
their traps as a hunter, that sort of deal. Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. Me personally, I'm always gonna be a little bit like nostalgic and biased towards tab targeting, just because that's always what I think of when I think of like MMOs that I enjoy. But at the same time, yeah, I think tab targeting would do more harm than good for a
Yeah.
modern day MMO. And
I mean, it's not
our
always
commenter there
action
proves
combat.
it.
Look at New World. New World is all action combat, and that thing is shutting down. And I'm pretty sure a big part of that is because it's
Yeah, no, that's a
janky
failure.
combat, because the combat is very janky. But
Really?
that
I
could
actually did
be
not hear much about the combat. I just hear like the whole faction thing does not work in that game.
no, no, they have some janky combat. You teleport all over the place. Stuff that doesn't hit
Oh
you hits
god.
you. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, so like
But
that's the
we
fear is like latency, right? Is like you threw a spear and you could have sworn that spear hit that enemy, but it didn't for some reason because the server said actually you didn't. Just your computer said you did.
we need to talk about New World. We don't talk about New World enough. I think the next time we're going to talk about New World's server issue, the combat being janky, because you can go to New World database and like a lot of the problems that they had was from the server situation as well. Uh, and then like their end game is pretty trash with like expeditions and the outpost rush. We should talk about New World. We're gonna talk about New
All right.
World next time. Let's close it out. Like I hope you enjoyed this
Cool.
episode. We'll continue this conversation in the next one, right here in the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. You can find me at Grove on socials and YouTube.
Oh, you can find me at Conquest95 on Twitter.
And to stay up to date on the goings on for this podcast specifically, you can follow us at the Brazen Hydra on Twitter, where you can add us questions, just topics to talk about. You can also find us at thebrazenhydra.com. If you have a topic, don't forget to let us know in the comment section below. We do go through those, and if you have a topic that may get featured on the show. If you're looking for more Brazen Hydra, head to the Brazen Hydra Clips YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one.